Hey everyone, Tom here. Unfortunately, we had to download the Twitch VOD due to some technical difficulties, which resulted in having part of the VOD muted due to the commercial break music that we were using. Hopefully, you will tune in at 38 seconds into this VOD to get the fully casted game from myself and Eric, which should be in 3, 2, 1, now.
Axel, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But looks like Duda has already cast a Bone Crusher Giant, so that's on an adventure on the side. Fabled Mirrorburger came down on 3. One of the elves did get torched here. Oh, nice. Correct art and everything. I didn't notice how many teeth are behind Cure in this one.
I think that's like one of those, like, was it like the Nezahal, the Primal Tide dinosaur?
Yeah,
or whatever
like
that's
one of
called.
those.
Yeah. So that one's there.
There's a Kraken in the back as well. Very cool art.
You know what? I don't never really do this, but I gotta call out Minty Fresh in the chat. Thank you. No, when we say welcome back, I like hearing it back to us.
Okay, legitimate question. I don't know who Minty Fresh is, but they are here for the Shadowverse stream as well, I believe.
Ah, okay.
Giving call outs for Mr. Jeff Chen. But yes, we have a hard time figuring out who you are, so maybe one day we'll figure it out.
That's okay. You're my new best friend. But we did have Duda taking a quick swing at Kiora, the Behemoth Beckoner, with a Screaming Nemesis coming out of this deck. So far, nothing but 3 drops, or creature-wise anyway. Also, a Den of the Bugbear wound up coming out over there. But now it's Frenchie's turn, and that's going to be Cavalier of Thorns, and you're going to have to get pretty chonky as the red deck to battle through this one.
Yeah, Cavalier of Thorns just being able to ramp, but also just a 5/6.
Yeah.
So difficult to kill a 5/6 in a red deck.
So the good thing is that Screaming Nemesis can actually kind of deal with this.
That is true.
I mean, you block the Screaming Nemesis, you hit them with the extra 3 damage, and you can kill the Cavalier of Thorns that way.
There's an Axolotl on the pink stick. What? Akira, shouldn't you be playing your game?
I don't know. Akira was in time in turns last round, so maybe Akira actually took a bathroom break. But so Cavalier of Thorns comes on down. I think we wound up. Do we not hit a land off of that either? That was a miss.
No, they did hit one land.
Oh, okay, is it the one of the layers, I guess, because it enters the battlefield tapped, right?
Yeah, because Frenchie, in order to cast that, used the elf and then cured on the elf.
All right, so that makes a lot more sense. I was too busy paying attention to Akira saying something about pink stars. But anyway, Duda has all the Chonky Red mana in the world that he could deal with. Castle Embereth also is here, so that could be something that we wind up playing. And a second Screaming Nemesis hits the battlefield. All right, so this is a Screamo red deck now, as Duda's doing nothing but scream.
Real question, how have we not had any damage up until this turn?
Well, there was a Kiora on the battlefield, and you see Kiora needs to be gone if there's a Nykthos on the opponent's deck. So
that is true. So Goblin Shaman Trigger makes another treasure. So Duda has all the mana in the world and more, spending 3 of it right here to cast Ember Cleave. The chonkiness is here, ladies and gentlemen. So Ember Cleave coming in, attaching to the Goblin Shaman, making a very good trade with the the Cavalier of Thorns. Screaming Nemesis doubling in, so Frenchie taking 6 here down to 14. And we do have a flipped Fable as well.
Damn, I forgot about Ember Cleave. That card's so fun.
I guess we see why it's Chonky Red this time.
Yeah, that's a 6 mana card that only wound up costing 3, so yeah, Ember Cleave hits the battlefield, and actually going after Frenchie's life total instead of going after their Kiora. Now the Kiora's on 1. It'll just go away. So with no Nykthos on the battlefield, you don't have to really rush that right now. Not enough devotion to really matter when you're killing the Cavalier anyway. But now you have this, which is the Kiora passive of drawing a card when something with 4 power or more hits the battlefield.
Yeah, this is what Outcast Trailblazer?
Yeah, Outcast Trailblazer. Also floating a mana there, because that enters the battlefield, gets a mana, so you're able to cast another 3 mana spell here, which is that Old Growth Troll that will then draw a card.
2 cards, actually, now that the Outcaster Trailblazer is here as well.
You got double Kiora triggers coming in, basically. Double cantrips.
Oh.
Kiora getting hit in the bin, going to untap now, so this is 2 mana altogether. So Wolfalo Haven is what I'm assuming. Oh, the Invasion, that works.
Invasion of Ixalan.
That's the Oath of Nissa one.
Yeah, the Oath of Ixalan.
The Oath of Ixalan. right, everybody. Turn your heads. Oh, wait, no, never mind. That transformed it. Oh, man, you can't do this with the battles. Ugh.
Yeah, there's no turning for the battle. So.
It's small now, people. I'm sorry.
Looking. Okay, go for it.
When Invasion of Exelon hits the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a permanent card from among them, put them in your hand. Put the rest of them on your library in a random order. So it just finds any permanent, cost 2 instead of Othiness, which looks at 3. You can only find Planeswalker, land, creature, or enchantment.
Can it find enchantment?
I think it finds itself, right?
I have no idea, actually. Never played with the card.
No enchantment. Can't find itself. Just creature, land, or planeswalker.
Crazy.
All right, but we have another cure that we found off of that. So, Frenchie with a plethora of wealth here. However, now passing the turn back to Duda, there are 6 toughness on Frenchie's side of the battlefield, 4 from the Old Growth Troll, 2 from the Outcaster Trailblazer, which is important to consider when you have a double striking Ember Cleave on the battlefield that came out of nowhere last turn.
Yeah, how much does Ember Cleave to equip?
It is a 3 mana to equip, and it looks like we had a Bone Crusher Giant from earlier. It probably took care of that elf.
Yeah.
That's going to wind up hitting the battlefield now, so we have a 4/3.
Kind of interesting what Duda wants to make a copy of here, but it looks like it's going to be Bone Crusher Giant. And that actually makes a lot of sense, because if Frenchie doesn't block it, then that's 1 extra damage compared to the Nemesis. But if Frenchie does block it, then the Nemesis goes through freely. So Giant trading with the Troll here.
And in general, that's probably a profitable trade for Frenchie with a Cure in hand. You can represent Storm the Festival this upcoming turn, which I guess you had enough mana to do with the elf anyway, but now you have like the extra untap for 2 additional mana from that.
Yep, but Duda dropping a Hired Claw and then passing.
Hired Claw isn't chonky. That's a small boy.
It gets bigger.
It do get bigger, though. It do be growing.
It do grow.
All right, so Hired Claw, the grower, not the shower. Right there.
But Old Growth Troll upping Frenchie's mana here. Frenchie dropping another Cavalier, getting 2 draws off of this.
That's pretty solid.
The problem is Frenchie does not have an immediate answer for the Screaming Nemesis yet, and
oh, there's a Nykthos.
being able to make a copy of it next turn means that Duda effectively just has lethal, I think.
All right, so yeah, making a copy of the Screaming Nemesis, blocking them means you take 3 damage if they die, which right now one of them won't die if that elf stays on tap. Never mind. But we didn't have a land drop for the turn, so this is going to be a lot of mana being floated here now. So we had the Invasion over there, Kiora's 2, 3 from there. So Frenchie keeping track of all the mana for us. 7 floating green mana. So Storm the Festival here, that makes Duda's lines a lot smaller.
Oh, is there floating mana still? Is that why? I was like, I thought Nykthos was 2 to activate.
Nykthos is 2. Okay, yeah, so there you go. Oh, actually, creating a bunch more mana here.
Wow.
Oh, because there's the Old Growth Troll attached over there. And so Frenchie had land from Cavalier enter. That was the Boseiju.
Yep.
Tapped the elf, played the Nykthos that they got off of the Cavalier.
There's the extra mana. Yep.
Yeah, so now we have additional Cavalier. Or do we find Nykthos again?
Nykthos 2.
Yep. So mono green doing the mono green thing still.
I think there's a Storm the Festival in there as well.
Start the festival in the graveyard, so that is something now we can activate for. So we have 10 devotion plus 3 more is 13. So we use 3 of it, go up to 16. We can storm the festival, and I mean, like you said, Duda still has these Screaming Nemesis and an Ember Cleave on the battlefield. So Frenchie needs to kill.
Yep.
And we saw 1 Ulvenwald Oddity already hit the graveyard.
Yep.
So if Frenchie has the second Ulvenwald Oddity, that would be something to do.
Frenchie separated that out, though. Is there something in the deck to pick up the Ulvenwald?
Is Frenchie playing the what's the card that you loop in Lotus Field with? Balagad Recovery. That could be something. Maybe a Singleton Balagad Recovery.
Yeah, because they picked aside the Storms, obviously because of flashback, and they also picked aside Ulvenwald Oddity specifically.
We should really get D20s.
Yeah, but then we need big D20s. I'll hunt for those.
The only ones I can think of are the ones that they use for like the comedically large D20 that you see at like those D&D theater shows and stuff. That would take up the whole camera. And then some. Probably take up the whole table. But French are going to spin the wheel with another Storm the Festival that's in their hand. We get yet another Cavalier trigger. We get a Old Growth Troll.
Another Nykthos.
Nykthos off of that. Draw a couple of cards. All right, Frenchie needs to find this Ulvenwald Oddity to just show it to Duda and say GG.
Yeah, still just spinning their wheels a little bit here. Frenchie very nicely showing us Total Devotion on the top.
Love this.
Right
It's almost like Frenchie works on the stream sometimes and knows what we want.
The ability to not have to do...
There it is.
There's the Oddity.
All right, so Ulvenwald Oddity hits the battlefield. That's going to get transformed. And let's see, there's a 4/3. So there's 3 toughness and a ton of damage coming this way. So it looks like Frenchie's going to clean this one up with basically needed to do it this turn.
So Oddity gives what? Trample Haste?
+1/+1, trample, and haste.
Unfortunately, that is enough damage.
So I think technically it's not Ulvenwald Oddity on the backside. It is the Ulvenwald Behemoth. Aptly named. 8/8 trample haste, giving everything else +1/+1 trample haste. So you have 6/7s, 5/5s, 5/3s, and 2 elves.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
So that's going to be Frenchie picking it up. Like we said, kind of like on the precipice of defeat. The Green Devotion deck winds up stealing that game away from Kevin Duda and the Chonky Red deck, who literally just needed to swing with the 3 Screaming Nemesis to kill Frenchie the next turn.
Yeah, 1 turn off. So, I mean, we definitely saw it. It could have gone either way.
Very reminiscent of round 1 with the Pirates and the Quintorius deck.
A little bit sad for Duda. There is, I think, if Duda had gone for the Kiora on that turn instead of going all face, that might have been the decision maker, I think.
It definitely would have made it so that Frenchie could not have drawn as many cards. The Outcaster Trailblazer was still there, so you're still drawing 1 card per turn.
Yeah,
and
but
I guess if Nykthos is like the last or second to last card in those Cavalier flips, Frenchie can't do anything there.
Yeah, exactly. Because specifically with Kiora on the field, you draw a card off of the Outcaster cast, ETB, and then you also get another card when you play another thing, when you play the Old Growth Troll. So that would have cost Frenchie 2 cards there.
Not to mention the fact that how many spells is Frenchie actually casting without being able to untap the Enchanted Forest that turn with the first Kiora?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're losing 4 mana.
Because that was
in
the exact
case.
mana to activate Nykthos at the end.
Yeah, with the elf and the land that was found off of Cavalier. So I think Nykthos was in hand for Frenchie. It was either land in hand or Nykthos in hand for Frenchie, and then so they found the Nykthos off of the Cavalier. So there was additional land in hand. So yeah, it was Xaxes right there to be able to do untap with Kiora, play the Cavalier, and still be able to activate Nykthos. So yeah, that 2 mana actually did wind up coming into play.
I think so.
We're doing a lot of math on the stream today.
I know, right?
Duda doesn't want to do math. Duda just says Ember Cleave, smash.
Yeah, a little bit interesting. I know getting rid of the Cavalier there was probably the correct line, but it would have been kind of interesting to just slam Ember Cleave onto the Screaming Nemesis and going for, 5 more damage.
Yeah, so it would have been an additional
or
5 damage, putting Frenchie down to 5. And then you have a Cavalier on the battlefield, which I guess isn't doing much unless you actually have Nykthos. But
yeah, because that was the turn before, right? Because ship it back to Frenchie's turn. Frenchie played the Troll, the Outcaster, the Troll, and then shipped it back and then trade it with the Bone Crusher there, right?
I guess the one thing that you could have done differently from Duda's side was
Copy Screaming Nemesis there as well.
Or instead of playing Bone Crusher Giant, equipping Ember Cleave for 3. It's the same mana to play Bone Crusher Giant as to equip Ember Cleave. You equip Ember Cleave there, Frenchie will still get the old growth troll block and flipping over, but then you're going to be double striking, so you're still getting the 4 damage that Nemesis would have done anyway, and then you can copy a second Screaming Nemesis, get 3 additional damage, because Frenchie doesn't want to block the one that's going to trade with, it wants to block the one that will kill the old growth troll without taking damage. So you have 3 additional damage. It's basically the same kind of thing. It's 3 additional damage because you copy a Screaming Nemesis instead of playing the Bone Crusher Giant, and then you're just dead on the Nykthos turn.
Yeah, because that would have been a 10 damage turn, actually.
It would have been a lot, and for a deck that is labeled as chunky, it was doing chunks of damage in that game. But Duda actually did send us the entire deck list and sideboard to his deck, but he sent it to our StreamRobot account, which I don't have logged into my phone, and in order to help fix the overloaded PC issue with the microphone skipping out in audio, we shut Discord off. So I can't tell you exactly what he brought in, but I can tell you he brought in removal spells, and there's a Witchstalker's Frenzy in Duda's hand right now to try to deal with some of these big things from Frenchie's deck.
Yeah, unfortunately, Witchstalker Frenzy does not kill Cavlier.
It kills a lot of other things, though.
It does kill a lot of other things.
It also kills your own Screaming Nemesis.
Yeah, that is true. Witchstalker Frenzy plus Screaming Nemesis is one of the premier combos that came out when Screaming Nemesis gained popularity in Standard. Being able to attack in because nobody wants to block, and then all of a sudden post-combat, Witchstalker Frenzy your own guy, shoot your opponent for another 5. Being able to turn, Witchstalker Frenzy from creature removal only to being a 5 mana burn spell, or 5 damage burn spell. Pretty good.
All right, so here's a Kevin Duda special. This is not a chunky card. This is just a Duda card. Rabbit Battery, 1/1 haste. You can reconfigure to attach it to another creature to give it +1/+1 in haste. So we had Rabbit Battery and a removal spell, which I'm assuming is some sort of shock, or maybe is another Spike Field Hazard that Duda wound up playing. Unfortunately, the glare on our screen can't really see it. Killed the turn 1 elf. We did have the Invasion of Ixalan. I did not see what Frenchie actually took off of that one because I was too busy trying to look at the glare card, and I can't read that.
Some sort of land. I think
so it's a land.
daylight, or like it's a flip.
Oh, it's the hostile or whatever, haunted hostel or whatever.
There's Rabbit Battery doing work.
Yeah, hostile. Say that 5 times fast.
Turns into a 3/7.
It does turn into a 3/7. It also is able to have a bunch of extra life drain based on the number of creature cards you've exiled with it, and it phases out.
That's kind of insane.
This is just a really cool card in this deck because you can sacrifice something large like an old growth troll, and then when you have 3 soul counters on it, you can just flip it on over and then just like drain them for 3 or 4 life. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's basically 0 opportunity cost to do it.
That is true. It is just straight upside. You do not hate it.
So he did wind up having yet another invasion get cast for Frenchie, and Duda did hit him for 1 last turn. So that is going to be Frenchie taking their life total down to 18. And these are not chunky cards, Duda.
Fanatical Firebrand.
Firebrand is not a chunky card, but that is a chunk of life total, taking 6 damage now.
Yeah, Frenchie going down to 12.
So this is important to note. 3 creatures on the battlefield, 3 lands on Duda's side.
Embercleave.
Embercleave is lethal.
Embercleave.
Pop that bad boy onto the Bone Crusher Giant. That's 10 damage right there.
That is lethal.
Don't even have to attack with a Firebrand. Okay, well now there's a
there's-
blocker, so it's not lethal anymore.
Burn it end step. Burn it end step.
Did Frenchie tap a Nykthos for triple mana cost screen card?
Let me go. Is it for because of Ixalan? You get devotion off that?
Okay, so there's some devotion, but
Yeah,
I think
'cause
it's
then
only
you-
2
well,
devotion.
Sunken Citadel. Yeah,
Sunken
Sunken
Citadel
Citadel's got
activation,
big
and then 3. That's what it is. Good call. The devotion land doing the devotion thing.
The most incremental value.
All right, so we smack on in for 6 more damage after that. So 1 more turn, and Duda will even things up here after the removal spell on the Old Growth Troll. As we said there, Witchstalker's Frenzy takes care of Old Growth Troll.
That's true.
And no, I can't magically see what the glared cards are. I just remember that being the card that was in Duda's hand at the beginning of the game. All right, so now Frenchie in a tough spot, has 5 devotion mana available, so that's exactly enough for Cavalier of Thorns.
4, 5.
So we're gonna get probably
Forced.
untap land if we want to try to survive a little bit longer. So this is 4 mana.
4 mana. We do see this double storm in the grave.
That's pretty good to have. So Frenchie is able to survive. That'll be things that we can flash back pretty easily because as we see here, they are putting up the 8 counters of devotion with that Cavalier on the battlefield.
Yep. 3 for Cavalier, 3 for Troll, 2 for the Ixalan Invasion.
Oh, Sylvan's Scrying. Okay, so we're probably going to wind up finding ourselves additional Nykthos activate.
Oh,
That's
storm mana.
8. No, it's 8 because you still have to take 2 to activate it. Because you have the 2 from the Old Growth Troll Forest up there that activates Nykthos. That creates 8 mana.
Oh,
Storm is 10 for
Storm is
flashback.
10?
Yeah, it's 6 in hand
I always thought it was 8.
and 10 in grave. Right? Maybe it's 9. 10.
It is
7
10. You are
triple
correct.
forest. Look at that bad boy mana cost. That's a chonky card.
That's true.
All right, so if Frenchie has Kiora in hand, this is off to the races. And I think that's what they probably have. They're taking. Oh, okay. Well, Storm in hand.
Storm in hand.
3 storms.
4, 5.
Put a
Kiora.
Ruby Medallion in this deck. Call it Ruby Storm.
Oh, there's Leyline.
Oh, Frenchie's in the Leyline version still. Okay.
So that's up 7 devotion.
Remember when I said at the beginning of the stream that the lists online weren't running Leyline anymore?
Yeah.
Well, Frenchie is.
Yep.
It's right there.
You lied to me, Tom.
I
Come on.
did. I'm sorry. So we have another Cavalier. Is it another? Okay. No more Nykthos. But now we have double Cavalier as blockers. Duda has 3 mana, missed a land drop. If Duda had Ember Cleave, that might have been the play last turn instead of using Witchstalker's Frenzy.
Yeah.
So Duda is probably in a rough spot right here. Unless Duda has, like, Stomp, Swing, Burn You. I mean, that's a way to deal with not having to go through these Cavalier of Thorns and just getting 1 damage through instead.
That is true. I'm trying to think.
Otherwise, Frenchie's going to untap and storm the festival like 900 times.
There's another Witchstalker Frenzy in hand.
And we got Torbran. So Torbran deals an additional 2 damage. That turns our... But we don't have land.
Yeah. 3. No. Duda showing that he's dead.
Oh, and there's an Anger of the Gods. That just wipes Duda's board. It doesn't do anything to Frenchie's board. Yeah, so that's going to be GG. Frenchie is going to end up taking this one 2-0, both times on the penultimate turn from Duda's side, where it was basically going to be I untap, I win. It's Frenchie that's able to go off with Nykthos turns and just steal the games out from underneath Chonky Red.